Hi there and welcome to my channel. Today's project is for the Vicki Boutin design team, and today I'm going to show you a layout that I'm going to say it was not what I had in mind, but I ended up loving. So I had this idea that I wanted just to add paint onto a page. I wanted to create some abstract kind of art journaling, and I was going to show you how I created it. So first thing I'm doing is I'm checking the pre-made mixed media paper pads to make sure that there's nothing similar with what I have in mind. So now that I have that in, I've taken that out of the map, I'm actually going to start with a foundation paper. And my idea is I wanted to see if I could get a similar effect of what I get with acrylic paint when I mix it with matte acrylic gel, but this time using some of the texture paints. So you're going to see that I've already pulled a little bit of crushed pineapple, and this is the texture paint. This is the new little pots of paint that Vicki released with the Let's Wonder collection, and I'm mixing it with a little bit of the matte acrylic gel. Now because the matte acrylic gel and the texture paint are both matte and opaque, it does give you a translucent look, like it makes it thinner, but it's not as thin as when you mix it with acrylic paint. So I think it's something to do with the formulation. It's not as thin, so I had to add more matte acrylic gel to start with, and I'm loving how this worked out. But you're gonna see how I change it in a bit. I'm adding, like I said, you're gonna see that I'm gonna start painting lines, and I'm using a flat brush. This is from my stash. It's a smaller flat brush, and all I'm doing is I had this idea of creating I wanted to create think of it, picture corners on my paper, kind of weaving lines of paint. So I am mixing, like I said, I started with some of the crushed pineapple texture paint, mixed it with matte acrylic gel. Now I'm gonna mix a little bit, and this is matte acrylic gel mixed with juicy pear, but this is the acrylic paint, and it's actually thinner, it's more translucent, and it has a shine to it, which the yellow one in that case doesn't have. So I am loving the texture of the two of them together. Now here's where you have to and Vicki and I will always tell you have to try things to know how they react. When I start other colors, and I think it has to do with the formulation, I don't think you can see it that well on the screen, but the yellow started to become neon when I started drawing up. And there's something I'm not a yellow person, it's not my favorite color. But no, yellow person is not my favorite color. I own very little things that are in yellow. I love it, but it's not something that so I'm thinking, okay, maybe if I add a little bit of the blue Hawaiian. So I put a little bit of the blue Hawaiian texture paint, and I'm mixing it with a bit of the matte acrylic gel, and I'm loving the fact that it's toning it down. But as I continue working, it's becoming a little bit more, the yellow is not hiding. So, but I'm committed to this. So instead I'm gonna bring a little bit of pink. So again, I'm going back to acrylic paint, and I'm mixing it with matte acrylic gel, and I'm just gonna start adding some of the paint. And when I am finished adding the paint with the pink, I realized that the lines that I created, the yellow is just bugging me, is bothering me. It's not my favorite color again. It's a little bit more brighter than I wanted it to, but I'm committed to this. So instead I'm going to transform this from the abstract art piece that I had in mind into more of a layout. So you're going to see that once I add my pink lines, and I'm not completing a line, let's say a full line, I'm just going with brush strokes. So whatever size the paint finishes, that's how big it's gonna be. All I'm making sure is that the lines intersect at the corner at a straight angle. That's the only thing that I had in mind. So right now, because like I said, I've already changed my mind, I'm just adding the leftover pink just to kind of haze the area where I can house a picture. Once my pink is about to finish, I'm gonna mix it with a little bit of the yellow just to create a soft transition, so it gives me like a kind of a peachy tone, and I'm just adding it on top of the paint. It's matte enough. You're gonna see right now when I add the yellow, you can see the difference. It has to do with the formulation. The texture paint is thicker, it is more of a matte look, while the acrylic paint is thinner and it has a bit of a gloss. So when you mix them together, you can see the difference, and I think that is why I did not like the yellow part of this layout. So like I said, I can fix it. I'm trying to find a way to fix it. So my solution is I'm gonna add white. I'm gonna haze all of these out. So for that, I'm using matte acrylic gel. I am mixing it with a little bit of white acrylic paint, and now all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create lines of paint on top of what I've already added. So I'm just using one of the flat brushes from Vicki, I think it's the smallest one, and I'm just creating lines on top of it, trying a way to hide quite a bit of the yellow. And actually love how this turned out, because I'm thinking, oh, I can actually add pictures, I can add something, and you know, it's gonna cover, not gonna cover, but it's actually gonna give me a great place to add clusters. Like I already have this idea that I can create two big clusters, one bigger at the top where I have all that big pink area, and one at the bottom. So I right away started thinking what pictures I have. So I'm gonna bring the map stencil from the Let's Wonder collection, and you're gonna see that I'm gonna mix a little bit of iridescent glaze and prism glaze just to lighten the map a little bit more, and then I'm gonna use an stencil brush to create the impression of this stencil on my foundation paper, on my background. And I'm picking a little bit of the mixture with my stencil brush, and I'm going in a circular motion on top of the stencil to create the impression. I'm gonna make sure that the impression is heavy at the center where it's closest to the corner or where the lines intertwine, and then I'm gonna try to ghost it as it goes away from it, kind of like I said, kind of create a ghosty effect, kind of like a distress, kind of fading effect. So for that, again, I'm just applying more pressure and more of the mixture towards the corners, and then just whatever is left over on the brush, you're gonna see that I move the stencil just to kind of create a fade out effect. And I'm gonna do that on both sides. I'm gonna make sure that one has more, because I know that's where my pictures are gonna go. So while this dries, no, sorry, I didn't let it dry. I'm gonna use a little bit of water just to dilute the amount of some of the mixture that I have there, and I'm actually gonna add some splatters to the impression. I'm just gonna add splatters, kind of following the painted lines that I have, and that's gonna help me stretch the design. And also, before I finished, I'm actually gonna, whatever liquid I have left over on my little palette, I'm just gonna lift it and create these big splatters on the paper. So I set it aside to dry, and then I'm gonna come back actually with the pictures. And I pulled out a few pictures, but I found this too much. I don't work with that many pictures, so I decided to go with the smaller ones. The smaller ones are 3x3, and you're gonna see that I play with a few of the configurations, and I decide to flip the background 90 degrees counterclockwise, and that gave me the best placement for pictures. So all I'm doing right now is just adding some pieces of paper to my the pictures. I chose to go with the B side of the flower paper just because it had that green, that yellow, some blue, some white, and then I'm gonna pick a few more papers that have that teal look, and a little bit I'm also gonna use the sunburst paper with all the colors of the little pieces of paper. I'm gonna actually add a piece on the bottom picture, and then when I put them together, kind of like glue them together in place, I was like, I need to bring a little bit of that pink that I have on the background. So I'm gonna bring the B side of the Hello Adventure paper, and that's the paper that has that sunset with the hello on top of it. The B side has a pink cheetah print, and I'm gonna use that kind of as a big layer behind the pictures. Once I have that in place, I'm gonna start adding embellishments. One of the things that I add is actually one of the frames from the the mini album tag pack. I'm not a friend of mini albums, so I actually gonna cut the little I'm gonna see that little hole at the top, you know, where you can put your ring through and use it as a frame behind my pictures. I love that compass. It's just gonna give me the idea for traveling. And this is a picture of my family. We take the kids to the X every year, so this is one of the pictures. And all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add the pictures at the top. I'm gonna add my title at the bottom. My title is a combination of ephemera, chipboard, and the little around town is actually part of an ephemera. There's a piece of vellum that has the same city look, so I just trimmed the bottom part. And all I'm gonna do to tie all of this together is I'm gonna use those squiggly arrows or that you find pretty much throughout the entire collection. Once I have all this in place, I decided that I needed to kind of tone everything down. You're gonna see that I'm gonna bring quite a few elements that have that craft look, just because I think that it's just gonna tie everything in place. So you see that I added some chipboard next to the bottom picture. I added a few pieces. The little arrow at the bottom has some of that chipboard look. And just to finish this, I'm actually gonna add a few little stars from the sticker sheet, especially in yellow, green, and pink, just to extend the lines that I have going on, you know, that I painted at the beginning. I'm gonna add my lines to journal right at the bottom of the pictures. Perfect placement. And like I said, we're taking the kid for 20 years, except this year, which is the first year the CNE has closed. And you know, I'm just gonna add my lines of journal at the bottom, and that's about it. Like I said, I started with a different idea, didn't love the background, decided to, you know, change some things along the way just to make it work. And I love the fact that it's messy, but I love it. I love the fact that the pictures stand out, that it tells the story nicely. And I hope you try it. As always, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me. Thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to check out the blog to see more, to see some of the close-ups. And I hope to see you next week. Thank you so much, guys. Take care.